Good evening and welcome. It's Open Your Mind Radio on Sunday, the 26th of May 2012. Good evening. You have myself, Alan James.
And you have myself, Stephen George. A very good evening. I see you've changed the format.
Well, just a little bit of change. Change is good as the rest.
Don't start going changing things.
Okay. We keep.
Don't go changing.
Don't go changing. Right, okay. Good evening and welcome to Open Your Mind. Right, our guest on tonight is going to be John Irwin, who was a super soldier. And we're going to be talking to John about his experience and his background and a few bits and pieces like that. But before we do, we'll get the communications of Steve.
Actually, you may as well. Communication channels, info@oymireland.com for your emails during the show and during the week, if you wish to do so, if you want to communicate with us. In relation to anything that you hear on the show tonight, or if you get some information during the week that you want to share with us, info@oymireland.com is the email address. We also have the chat room on the website as well. There are a couple of people logged in there, and we are also streaming on, I think is it MSI? MSI?
MSI Radio.
MSI
yes.
Radio. So we want to say hello to everyone over there as well. I think Alan has the other chat opened up over the far side of the studio, so we'll be monitoring both chat rooms. So if you want to ask some questions to us or to our guests this evening, pop into one of those chat rooms. If you want to log into our own one, go to oymradio.com. On the top left of the page, you will see live chat, so you can log in there, and that's where to do that. And if you want to get us on the landline, you can.
Give us a call on 046 927 1212.
Leave them buttons alone. 046 927 1212. If you're ringing in from outside the Republic of Ireland, it's 00353 in front of that. Alan.
Right, okay. Just a quick good evening to, as Steve said, to the people on MSI Radio. We're streaming on MSI now at the moment. Good evening to everybody listening in there. We have chat facilities open on OYM and MSI as well. So if you have any questions for John when we get John on, by all means stick them in the chat and then we'll pass them over to John and we'll ask John the question. But we're going to start off with Steve. He's going to tell us about our OYM seminar coming up.
Yes, I guess I am. And also, MSI. I was in one of their stores a long time ago. They sell great furniture too.
Oh yeah, okay, MSI.
Was that MFI? No, it was MFI.
Are they cheaper? Are they?
No, it was MFI. Are they gone? Just a trivia question.
I don't know.
MFI. I don't really see ads for them anymore.
No.
Anyway, neither here nor there. Just wondering. Anyway, yeah, we here at OYM are holding a free seminar. To anyone who wasn't tuned in last week, we're holding a free seminar in the Headford Arms Hotel. That's in Kells, County Meath. It's on Monday, the 17th of June, from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Seating is limited, as we mentioned earlier last week. That's how early it was. There's 2 rooms available for us. We took the smaller room because we didn't want to set our goals too high. So seating is limited. So it's in your interest to arrive as early as possible. Don't arrive at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They'll be serving lunch. But there's plenty of parking in Kells town for anyone who does come. There's also a church across the road from the hotel. There is a pay and display system, but there's no pay. You don't have to pay and display after 6 p.m. And as we do say, the church car park should be empty anyway, unless there's something going on there. You may want to check in advance. There's also parking in the hotel, and anyone who's coming from Dublin, there will be buses from Bus Éireann or Bus Éireann buses from Bus Áras. Yeah, people in Ireland will understand what I mean. Anyone who's not in Ireland will think I'm just going on like a blithering idiot, and maybe I am. But anyway, that's the OYM seminar, Headford Arms Hotel in Kells, County Meath, Monday the 17th of June. 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Mark that in your calendar. If you can make it, that'll be absolutely fantastic. We look forward to meeting and greeting every one of you. We will accept donations at the door, or checks made out to myself, or actually checks made out to me. That would be absolutely fantastic. It's a free event. There's going to be no charge. The special guest this evening, is going to be Walter Graham. He's a good friend of the show here, and good friend of both Alan and I. He's going to be talking about the dangers of wireless technology, mainly, say, Wi-Fi, and also DECT phones and microwave ovens. And the creme de la creme. We're going to be giving out free bumper stickers at the event. So I mean, if you want to come along, just come for the sticker. You don't even have to stay for the presentation. Just come for the sticker. And
but that'd be a waste. It'd be a good presentation, though. You know what Walter's like. He's a very good speaker.
Oh, I know what Walter's like. Yeah, but I mean, anyone who's going to travel, say from Dublin on a bus and pay whatever it is on the bus to come to Kells, grab a couple of stickers and leave. I don't think so. They'll all stay for the presentation.
Of course.
And next thing that I want to say is Dr. Carol Rosen, also someone who's been on the show numerous times, and she does keep in contact. And speaking of contact in the desert at the Joshua Tree Retreat Centre on the 9th to the 11th of August 2013. It's going to be a weekend of exploration into ancient aliens, human origins, UFO sightings, and the need to know. You can watch I can't even pronounce that word. What is that word? Here.
Meteor shower.
You can watch the meteor shower through the clear desert sky. That event's going to be featuring George Newry from Coast to Coast Radio, another good guy, Stephen Greer, also Graham Hancock, Jim Mars, and more. For any more information on that, you can just visit contactinthedesert.net. I don't think that's going to be happening in Ireland. The Joshua Tree, that's not in Ireland, sure it's not.
Definitely not.
Is that to do with you too?
No, it's just a location.
Okay. I just wonder because you two had a Joshua Tree restaurant records. Okay.
I don't know what drugs you're on, but I'll have some.
No, you're not getting any of them drugs. We pass it over to you.
Right. Okay. Okay. Just to let you know, if anybody's in Dublin, the Dublin Community Television. It's a community television setup. They're looking for volunteers. The website is called www.dctv.ie. So if you want to get involved in the Dublin Community Television as a volunteer, check it. I mean, I don't know, maybe they've closed it now, but as far as I know, they're still open. They're still looking for people. So if you want to get involved in the community television side rather than community radio, you can pop along. The web address is www.dctv.ie. Check it out there if you're in Dublin.
Damn.
Why?
Only for we have faces for radio. We could have went for that.
I know, yeah. But also we're not in Dublin. But there you go.
Don't
let logistics get in the way, of a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and I just want to remind listeners about OYM. I mean, basically we look at an awful lot of subject matters right across the board. And so I just want to say, if there's somebody out there that has a story to tell, and you want to educate people or let people know what's going on, or you're a whistleblower or anything like that, I mean, please contact us and we'll have a chat and see. We'll see what we can do. Obviously, we're not going to be dealing with subjects. If you're a netball expert and you want to tell us about your day out playing netball, we're not really interested in that. But however, if there's any other subjects in the context of what we actually do, the radio station, the area that we could cover the radio station, so the subject matters we deal with, please get in contact with us and just give us a shout. And we'll have a chat with you. And as I say, if you want to expose something or talk about something, give us a shout and let us know, and we'll sort to.
Yeah, if you want to expose something, expose it here first.
Oh my God, he's in one of them moods.
No, he's not. No.
Okay, how's your week, Steve? How's the drugs, by the way? Okay.
Yeah, they're working out quite well. Yeah, I've increased the dose myself.
Excellent stuff.
The doctor said not to, but I figured, hey, what the hell.
Okay.
No, my week's been good. Not too much happening, to be totally honest. It's been one of those weeks where I've just been concentrating on the daily grind. I've been kind of busy in work. Like everyone, I've been kind of watching. Again, I know when the whole Boston thing happened with the bomb. I was kind of watching that, and I was getting engrossed in it, and I just felt I was spending too much time on it. I really did. Of course, it wasn't until I got to the end of spending too much time on it that I actually realised I'd been spending too much time on it. Kind of preoccupied, if you like. So when this other Woolwich incident happened during the week, I kind of looked at it, done a quick little bit of research into it. A few people have asked questions up there on the chat already. What our thoughts are on it. Now, I'm not 100% convinced that it happened exactly as was depicted on TV and exactly as it was told about in the newspaper. Not that I've read the newspaper, but I have listened to what other people were saying. I'm I'm not convinced. I'm not saying again. I'm not saying it didn't happen. If it did, it's a horrendous thing to happen. But my initial couple of things, if you like, from seeing the video footage, if you're gonna kill someone and you're gonna do it in broad daylight, and then stand around, like a spectacle, you're gonna stand around and wait to be captured or shot or something.
There's an awful lot of inconsistencies with that.
Oh, there's
footage.
a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you kill someone and then he hangs around. Well, sorry, no. And then he killed someone off to the side of the road. He makes sure, after he's beheaded the chap, he makes sure every drop of blood is drained from the body. Now, I don't know where the blood went, but it certainly wasn't on the guy who done the shooting, do you hear me? Done the beheading. There was a little bit of red something on his hands. I don't know what that was. There was nothing on his clothes. And seemingly he'd done it off to the side near the bushes. That's where he drained every drop of blood. He then dragged the body into the street. There's no blood, trail of blood going from where the beheading allegedly took place to where the body was dumped. No blood, not a splash, nothing.
I've kind of accepted the fact that it's a false flag, right?
Yeah.
Now, so I haven't really bothered going into too much detail in investigating. Is that guy actually dead? Is there a dead body?
Well, I don't know, but most people who lose their head tend to be dead.
Right. Okay. Well,
unless you're a zombie. No, I don't know. I mean, you've seen pretty much as much of what I've seen, which is the same as what everyone else has seen. There's a lot of videos. There's a couple of videos going around the internet already, kind of saying, well, look at the evidence. There's no blood here. There's no blood there. And as I said to a chapter in work during the week, if you cut an artery, vein is one thing. Well, you cut an artery, and I believe there might be one or two in your neck, your jugular. The blood from that will spray because of your heart's pumping it around, and it will spray at least like 10, 12 feet in the air.
Yeah.
And for someone to cut you and you've no blood on you, bar some red something, whatever it may be in your hands, but nothing on your clothes. I mean, that's kind of. There was a question. I've got a question mark over that, definitely. Then, as I say, there's no blood where they allegedly dragged the body out. There's not a trail of blood, nothing. Now, unless it was like that chap in the Boston bombing, they got a little tiny piece of a tourniquet and wrapped it around his neck, so maybe he didn't bleed out. I don't know. Plus, you have the fact that there was a woman lying down on the road beside the body, and then she just gets up and carries on a normal conversation. If I'd been lying down on a road beside a body with no head, or that had just been beheaded, I think I might be upset. Well, first of all, I don't know why I'd be lying there, but the question mark over that. Yeah, but then for the guys to hang around, it was like as if it was a scene in a movie. It really was. It was kind of like, okay, and action. So
well, I'm sure when we get John on, John's probably been looking at it, so he'll probably have a say about it as well. So we'll have a chat with John when he gets on. Well,
look, I mean, I think we can probably move things along. That's what I've been looking at during the week. I'm not going to get too wrapped up in it. Is it a false flag? If I had a scales here with me, it will be kind of tipping towards the false flag scenario. Problem, reaction, solution, and wondering what they are trying to bring in over there in the UK. I don't know. But I'm not 100% convinced. And if you're going to kill someone, terrorists, most terrorists seem to kill, you go and you do it.
Yeah.
And then you walk away. And then there's a code word or something, and then you tell people, such and such a group has claimed responsibility for that. You know the way they used to, years ago, you'd hear bombings, and then you'd hear on the news, the IRA have, said that they've put their hand up. But, other than that, me weeks, it's really been kind of boring. How about you?
Well, just a couple of announcements, as usual, that I normally have. It's just, we talk about Ireland. I mean, I've never known in history, looking back at history, of Ireland, for Ireland to be in such a state that it's in. Mm-hmm. Apart from, obviously, the Holocaust, which we call the famine, but we've accepted that it was a Holocaust. And I just don't know in any time in history, even during the revolution in 1916 and all that, it wasn't really an economic issue. It was a kind of, we wanted to have our own republic. It wasn't an economic issue. And there was trouble obviously going on, but people still had jobs and there was work and stuff like that. I'm sure there was. But this is just unbelievable. You know, where we are now is just unbelievable. And I mean, I don't know. I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. I really don't see any light. You know. Normally business cycles go back up, but you know, there's just so much going on in the world at the moment. I don't know. Anyway, bit of good news. Apparently, the IMF boss, which is Christine Lagarde, is to be formally charged after abusing her position with 270 million fraud and embezzlement scam.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, what do we say to that?
Very good. Thank you. So Christine Lagarde, yeah, formally she's going to be. Now I don't know whether again that's a setup and it's for the cameras and for the public, but apparently she's going to be questioned.
Yeah, you do kind of wonder. You do kind of wonder.
Is it all kind of amateur?
Agenda 21.
Yeah.
Is it something that we're meant to see and meant to believe? It's all part of a plan.
And the last thing before we get John on is we're looking for a flash programmer, not somebody who turns up in the BMW with loads of medallions and bling bling on them, right? We're looking for flash, as in the program flash, to help us develop some software for the alternative media side of things regarding the broadcasting, because we know there's a lot of people out there want to get on and broadcast and do their own shows, but there's a limited availability of certain types of software out there, and myself and Steve have a very good idea of what needs to be done, but we're not programmers, so we need somebody who is a flash programmer who'll be able to help us. We can give him all the information he needs, designs and stuff, he or she, but we need somebody just to do the physical programming. So if you do know anybody that knows Flash and has a bit of time, I would like to help out the alternative media side of things, and a lot of people regarding radio stations, and they can put their company details and the name on the software, give them a bit of branding. So there's no problem with doing stuff like that. But we'll definitely work with them. So if you know anybody, obviously give us a shout and let us know. Right, without further ado, we're going to get our guest on tonight, which is Mr. John Irwin. Good evening, John. How are you?
Hi, Alan. Pleased to be with you.
Cheers, John. Thanks for coming on. I know
that's not a problem.
We've talked a few times during the week, catching up on a few things, and it's great to have you on the show because we want to obviously clarify what's really meant in your definition of a super soldier. But before we do that, let's get a bit of background of who you are, John, and let our listeners know, your background and how you got involved in certain areas of the being recruited inside the British government and what you were doing.
Well, it all started when I got called up from my national service, which is 55 years ago now, and I wanted to go into the REME, the Royal Electrical Engineers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they put us actually in the Pioneer Corps. When I went down, when I went down to Wales to the training camp there, some strange things started to happen. It was after the first 3 weeks of training, going through rifle ranges and what have you. I got immediately my cross rifles for being a marksman, but I used to go down to the gym as well regular. When everybody else was at the NAFI, I would be in the gym. And it was then when things started to happen.
Can I just
go on.
clarify that for people in NAPI? Basically, what you're saying, John, is that you didn't drink or smoke, so you weren't.
No, I never drank.
You weren't down the pub or anything, drinking your wages away and all that. You went to the gym and you were, that's where you were training.
That's right. Yeah.
Sorry.
Don't forget it. I was only 18. I hadn't seen a television set. I'm not an educated guy. I think I spent roughly about 5 years at school. I was brought up during the war up in Newcastle here, a place called Byker. So I've got no education at all really then. So when I first went to the armed forces, I was just wanting to get it over with, if you understand.
Yeah.
But like I say, things changed somewhat. I still didn't understand exactly what was taking place. When I was in the gym, I was confronted by a sergeant. I was struggling to do some various exercises, and the sergeant was showing us how to do it. And that's when things really started to change. I was unaware of it at the time, I was told, would I like to do something other than what that particular unit did? And like I said, I had no idea what he meant at the time. And I think it was the second time I went down to the gym, he was there again. And he said, look here, again, would you like to do something more exciting? Something different? I understand you wanted to be a mechanic. I said, that's right. He says, well, look here, you'll be contacted again. I says, all right. And after that, nothing happened. Then suddenly there was a panic on, where 18,000 troops left England to go to the Middle East. When we were on the plane going to the Middle East, I was supposed to go to Beirut, but something happened to the plane. Now, I'm not sure, I'm not saying this was deliberate, but one of the engines actually caught fire.
Okay.
And we had to land at Malta. When we landed at Malta, they said, plans have changed, you're now going to Cyprus. So anyway, we ended up in Cyprus, and another strange thing happened after being there about, a week, 2 weeks. It's a long time ago now, it's 55 years ago. We used to go down to the beach at the weekends, a private beach for military. And we always had to go down in threes. And we had to carry a rifle between us. So anyway, we went down on the beach, and I was sitting on the beach, and the two pals I had with us went off for a swim while I just sat there. And that's when I was approached again. This officer-type chap came up to us and said, can you remember the contact you had in North Wales? And I had forgot all about it, to be quite honest with you. Then I said, yeah. He says, well, are you still into that? I mean, do you want to do something really exciting, something different? I said, well, it depends on what it is. Well, it's got something to do with the army. It's rather secretive, but it's more physical. It's more mental. And I just said, yeah, anything's got to be better than digging holes and what have you, And that's when it all started. From then on, cut long story short, when I was on what you call work patrol, that was when you got up in the morning and you went on parade, used to send you off to different parts of the island to do work. Well, I didn't. They sent me off to a hangar at the base of Trudis Mountains, where I did specialized training, where I went through a program which they used to say was the fear elimination. It was actually fear control. It was called the One Step Beyond.
Okay. And this is where you learned your super soldier skills.
Well, you see, when you use the word super soldier to what's being used now, what a super soldier is, as a matter of fact, I'm looking at a YouTube film right now, and it's called Super Soldier Talks with Dan McBolin and James Rink. And I've listened to these two chaps, and I don't know really what to say without insulting your listeners. But I think these two people should be locked up, literally, because what they're talking about is actually nonsense.
So give us an example, John, where you feel that what they're saying is not right.
Well, what they're saying and what's happened to his body and all his half his body is supposed to be metal, but there's nobody there to question him, Nobody to say, well, why? When did this take place? And what have you done as a super soldier? Tell me something you've done as a super soldier, and why do they want a super soldier? You see, but there's nobody there to ask that question. And every time they get to something that supposed to be secretive, they say, well, we can't talk about that. So that's very convenient. But up to now, everything they've said so far just sounds ridiculous.
Well, the one thing I will say with the conversations that we've had, John, is that you are you have said to me time and time again, which I think I mean it's spot on. You've invited myself and Steve over to you, and you said you will show us and you will prove it to what you're saying, and that in itself, to say I'll prove it to you, is confirmation for us that you can do that, and I'm sure other people.
Well, look, since I came out the forces, and for the first 30 years, I mean, I got married, and I had 3 children, and now I've got 9 grandchildren. But over the years, you want to tell people, but the story is so bizarre, you don't do it, especially 30, 40 years ago. But recently, since all these wars taking place and everything else that's taken place, I was contacted by one of the 16, that's the group I was in, and said, now's the time to talk. So that's why I'm talking.
Okay, so can we just clarify the unit that you joined within the military?
Okay, I'll explain that.
Yeah.
The training that I did, it was specialized training, and as I said, I can prove it even now, it was far superior to what is about now. And to prove that, what I did was, I went to certain security companies and offered me services, you see. But this was deliberate. I had no intentions of letting these companies or training these companies. The reason why I did it, I wanted credibility, you see. Because with the background I've got, who the hell is going to believe us, you see?
Yeah.
So what I did was, I got in touch with this big company, security company, and they wanted proof of these skills, you see. And to throw this in, I had written the book 5 years prior to that. They heard about the book, they read the book, and because they read the book and they knew the sort of skills that was being presented in the book, they wanted proof of these skills. So what they did was, they actually sent us down to Hereford, to the gym there, where the SAS trained. And I had to put on the display. Well, I took 3 or 4 of my instructors down with us. And when we got in the gym, the company that asked the SAS to examine, to confirm what I did was different and was better than what's around now, when I met the instructor, I couldn't help but destroy what he did. He was a martial arts guy, and he was supposed to be champion of the world, apparently. I'll not mention his name. When I saw how he was training people, I'm afraid I destroyed it for him. And then I asked them to put me through, to a test. So I was showing them how to disarm people, regardless of what they had, regardless of whether it was guns, machetes, whatever. But I also went into the psychology side of it as well. I says it's quite easy to take a gun. The hardest part is getting close enough to the guy to take the damn gun, So your normally enemy usually shoots at the second he sees you. But anyway, to cut a long story short, when they saw what I did, they were really, really excited. And they stopped what I was doing immediately. And they had said to the security company that this major out the SAS would definitely recommend it. And he says, what I'll have to do is I'll have to go up to Newcastle and have a better look at this. That's what he said. Since then, they came up. I got the letters off them, confirming this. At the end of the day, he came up and he brought certain subjects up that was in the book, operations that we did. I explained, because he thought they were impossible until I proved otherwise in the club. And what happened then was, when he was quite satisfied that what we had, they wanted, they didn't have it, then they said they would like to sign a contract with me. So I've got the documents here now, signed by them, the contract that they wanted me to sign, but I refused to sign it. But as long as I got the paperwork off them and proof that this actually took place, that's all I was really after, to be honest with you. So I got that. But in the meantime, I was also invited over to Egypt to their special forces, the 3-7s. When they read the book, they wanted to see me. Well, I was a bit rather dubious about that because we killed quite a lot of people in that country, in Egypt. But anyway, never mind. I went over with two of the instructors. I was treated like a king when I got there. It was unbelievable. I went to the 3-7s. That's in Nasser City. That's their training, where their training camps are. I showed them various different skills in regards to hostage situations, and I got a placard off them with their major's signature saying I was the best counter-terrorist expert in the world. Now, don't forget, these guys have been trained by the SAF, by the SEALs, by just about everybody. So I've got that placard downstairs now, hanging on my wall. Well, that's what I was really after.
Yeah, dude, for confirmation now, your professional background, you are a trained assassin.
That's right, yeah.
And that was, your remit, or your role in this force was to take out people.
The object, the exercise, I can't tell you exactly, the things I put in the book wasn't exactly what took place, for obvious reasons. Certain people had to be taken out. Don't forget, at that time, just prior to me going out there, in October 1967, what took place was Israel started problems with Egypt. They got the Brits and the French to invade Port Said, and they literally flattened it, you see. Because of that, the Russians started to move into the area in big numbers. So there was a threat of a Third World War then. It was a year later that threat actually got a lot bigger, and more Russians were moving into the area. And this is why the 18,000 troops left that night to go out there. But our job was to retrieve certain objects that would give the high authority, like the elite, what you call the elite, or the Illuminati, to prevent them from getting certain knowledge, which I believe they've got now. That's why the towers came down the way they did. They were energy weapons, and we were trying to prevent them from getting that. So this is why certain people and certain objects had to be retrieved from areas like Jaraba, which is on the borders of Israel, and Egypt.
Okay, and can you, without giving away too much, but you said you have seen flying crafts, and you...
Okay, when we're on our way through Lebanon to go to a place called Jaraba, we had to cross the River Jordan. We picked a part of the river that was virtually impossible to cross unless you had special equipment. We had that equipment. And the reason why we needed to cross that area was so if we were followed after the mission, they wouldn't be able to cross it, but we would. In other words, we would cut off their retreat. But yes, when we got across the River Jordan heading towards Jaraba, is when I saw two huge circular objects. This was a bright moonlight night, taken off. And I just stood there. I mean, I was shocked. And I pointed, and I was with 12 of the 16 then. Normally we just operate in fours, but it took all of us to do that particular operation. And when these things, like I said, took off, I pointed to them. I said, "Oh my God, what on earth is that?" And one of my team, one of the four, Chalky, came over and says, "You've seen nothing. You didn't see anything." None of the other 12 even looked up. Nobody seemed to take any notice. You couldn't miss the damn things besides the bloody football fields. That was it. as far as I could see, it looked as though they'd just taken off from somewhere near the area where we were going. And unfortunately, I don't know who was flying them. I've no idea. And again, I don't know if they'd actually landed there or not. But it was rather strange that that was the direction we were heading in.
Yeah. And the item that you retrieved, was that, it was a thing called, well, I believe the Spear of Destiny, or is that...
No.
No.
The Spear of Destiny, that's a load of codswallop as well, to be honest with you.
Okay. What did you...
No, listen, what we had, what we retrieved, when we did the raid on this compound, and we got across the River Jordan again, where we knew we couldn't be followed, then they looked at these objects, you see. And I was lucky to get close enough to have a look at them. We had these canvas sheets that were put over the top of us because it was dark, still dark. And when they opened this box, and they struggled to open this strange-looking oblong box, it didn't seem to have any hinges or anything like that. But anyway, we eventually opened it. And when we looked inside, there was some red velvet material, and they took the red velvet material out and placed it on the ground and opened it up. And there was two oblong pieces, what looked like, I'm not certain exactly because I didn't touch these things, but it looked like glass. And they were half an inch thick approximately, and about 3 inches wide by 8 inches long. And there was two of these things, and they looked as though they had lines on them like you would find on an old record, you know?
Yeah.
And when we were shining our torches on them, they lit up. They started to charge up, just like a calculator when you know. Anyway, they looked as though they were charging up. And as soon as they got to a certain brightness, these little objects seems to come off them like I can't explain to you. You know when you go in a dance hall and you've got this big ball,
yeah,
and these little things come off around the ceiling.
Yeah.
The mirror ball.
The mirror ball, yeah.
The mirror ball, yeah.
And you see
well, it was
the light,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Something like that. It was. I was trying to. It's very, very hard to describe. It wasn't exactly like that, but it was something like that.
Yeah.
The second it started doing that, they covered them up and said, "That's it." Wrap them up, put them in the box, and they give them to what they call a runner. That's somebody who goes off from that room with them, and that was the last I saw them. And but apparently, during this conversation, I was keeping on saying, "Well, there," and they said, "You don't want to know." And they said, "At least we've got." I heard them say, "Well, at least we've got two of them." And later on, I said, "You mean there's more?" He said, "Well, you know, what do you think we're doing in Egypt?" I said, "I thought we're there just to take somebody out and get some documents." Well, that's one of the reasons, he said, and that was it.
Oh, okay. So, and you still don't know what they were.
I have no idea. All I was told was later on, a few months ago, when I'd been talking to Kerry Cassidy in America then, I mentioned it to her, and I was struggling trying to describe these things. And one of my team, the 16, that was Dynamo, actually rang us up, and he explained a little bit more about these things, you know?
Yeah.
I tried to track him down, but I couldn't. Again, you know, they don't want it to know where they are. You know, it's all hush hush, and you haven't got to say this, you haven't got to say that. And
yeah. I'm
lucky to be talking about what I'm talking about, to be quite honest with you.
And as you said, what the government, the part of the government, or the part of the military that you were working for, was
actually against the government.
Was against the Illuminati.
Yeah, against the people that are doing, well, that's in control of Europe now.
But do you not think that there would be still a faction somewhere in the government or in the army still fighting that?
No, there more than likely is, but I've no way of knowing that. This is why I'm on your show, to be quite honest with you. And this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm hoping that one of these people might get in contact with us.
Yeah. And just
that's the object of the exercise.
To let you know whether it's still going on and whether there's Because I do believe in my own opinion, that there are good people inside. They might be frustrated, and there's probably very little they can do. But maybe they're waiting for a window of opportunity to try and do something. But
I've no idea what they're up to.
Yeah.
It is obviously the longer they leave it, the worse it's going to be. It's going to be harder to do anything about it. In fact, I think we're at the stage there now where it's virtually unreversible, because they're in every level of government now throughout the whole of Europe and America. You see, so unfortunately, the only way I can see us getting out of this, we're going to have to wait for the elastic band snapping, because that's the only time that people is going to do anything about it. It's going to affect people personally. But as long as people are relatively well off, as long as people are not starving, as long as people have got their cars and their mobile phones, they're going to do nothing.
Yeah.
They don't want to believe it.
Well, you're the second person who said that, John, because we had Bob Chapman, who unfortunately passed away, but he was counterintelligence and he spoke 6 languages, and he said the same thing. He said when they have trouble feeding their kids and feeding themselves, he said that's when things will happen.
When people lose everything, that's when they lose it.
Yeah.
If you understand.
But getting into your kind of the mentality of, I mean, you were in the army and you're a trained assassin, and that was a job and you did that. How did you go? How did you, what's the word I'm looking for? How did your conscience deal with that? That you were told to go off and you'd assassinate these people.
Well, look, again, it's a programming device. It's a long story in regards to this. One step beyond was a fear of elimination. It was learning how to control your fears. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Learning how to switch it off and switch it on.
Yeah. And
that was the program called the One Step Beyond. But it was it was more complex than that, you see. Again, it's a very hard story to believe, but hopefully that if I get this film made, and I'm not talking about the film, just the book, I want to get someone else to do another film, and it's all about life on Earth, why we're here, what happens when we die. I can literally tell you everything about it, because that was one of the programs I went through. The first one was, so this guy who was putting me through this program, he had to be in control of me conscious brain and my subconscious brain. And what they did there was they let me see, they explain all about life, saying, look, you're going to die regardless. No matter what you do, you're going to die. And they have to break you down and get you so tired, you see, that you haven't really got much control, and that's when they sort of take over, if you like. They get in your head, and once he can control the conscious brain and the subconscious, this is what they're after. And it's not brainwashing. Brainwashing means to take everything, all your memories away. Programming is a different thing altogether. So what they did with me was they had to install what we call a machine into the combat. Otherwise, it would have taken us months to learn it. So within a few days, they had taught me the machine, and I was totally unaware of it. Now, that sounds a bit rather impossible, but it's a bit like when people have dreams and they get up through the night and they do things and they don't know they've done them. It was a bit like that in a way.
Yeah.
But there was 3 or 4 days where I had no idea that this had taken place. In fact, when I sort of got back to normal, if you like, I said, when am I going to learn this combat, this machine I've been watching? He says, you already know it. You see? So I was rather surprised. The idea now, they said, is we've got to get your conscious brain to accept it, because it's going to be surprised when things start to happen, when somebody's going to attack you and you find you can stop it. It's a shock to the conscious brain.
Yeah.
You see, so that's another story. That's all in the book. And again, later on, it was another week later, is when I went through the real one step beyond. And what happens then? It's how can I explain it? It's a bit like a near-death experience. You see, what happens when somebody's dying? The body sort of goes into some kind of spasm, and the subconscious brain produces all sorts of pictures, and the energy starts to leave the body. But you're not actually looking down. You're looking through the energy, looking down, like a periscope. Do you understand?
Yeah.
You're not looking down. People who are actually dying and then they recover from it, they think that's what they were doing, looking down. But they weren't actually looking down. They were actually looking through the energy, which was acting like a periscope, if you like. And they were looking down, but not, the energy hadn't left the body. It's still, if it leaves the body, you're dead.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Again, what they did with me was, let's get back to that again, sorry. When your energy starts to leave the body, if you have no control over the conscious brain, it produces all sorts of pictures and lights and things like that, you see. So what they wanted to do was to cut the conscious brain and the subconscious brain out. Now, what you're seeing when you're asleep, when you're dreaming, it's the eye, if you like, the inner eye, that you're using to see these pictures. You see, whatever the dream is, you can see it with your eyes closed. Well, what they do is, don't forget, these were advanced people, and people have a tendency to say, well, they're from somewhere else. I don't know. One of them was quite strange, but, let's forget that bit because I can't prove it. What he does is, the energy, when the energy was leaving the body, I wasn't seeing pictures from the subconscious brain. I was actually seeing him, and he was talking to me, telling me what I was looking at, what I was actually seeing. So, I'll just give you a little idea. I saw the different dimensions, not all at once. I had to keep coming back, going away. And I saw all the different dimensions. I saw what happens when people die. I saw everything, literally everything. And this is what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get some film people out there who will make a film of it. But the whole story has to come out. Otherwise, people will take little bits of it and use it to their advantage,
Yeah. Okay, John, well, we have a couple of questions for you. So, Steve, you have a couple of questions
right,
there for
well,
John?
before I go into the questions, I've a question on my own, of my own, based on one of the videos that I've seen you in, John, and that's about Ken. I know you described Ken and the way about him to Miles Johnson. I'm just wondering, could you share that with us about Ken?
Well, Ken was, let's see, he was perfect as far as I was concerned. Perfect in his looks, his ability to do things. He never seemed to make any mistakes. He was intermediate. He was the guy who used to bring with the orders. Most of the time he came by a helicopter. That was a Sycamore helicopter, which he used to call a hack. This guy was couple of inches, 2 or 3 inches taller than me. He was obviously 7 or 8 years older than me, but he didn't really look it. He had very long fingers, and he did, like I said, some unusual things. One of them was, during the first part of that One Step Beyond, where he was learning me how to control my fears. In other words, the conscious brain, I could use the conscious brain to trigger off the necessary chemicals that produces love, hatred, fear, whatever. So when I looked at something that is, say, highly dangerous, I could produce the chemicals that wouldn't produce that fear. That's what it was all about. But during that program, he was fiddling about with a coin. But the coin, whether it was me or not, I don't think it was. when he spun the coin, he actually could put his finger on the top of it. Now, I've tried that thousands of times, and I could get the coin to spin, but I always had to use two hands. He used one. And when the coin spun around, and the second you go anywhere near it, it just stops. But I saw him put his finger on the coin, and it kept on going for quite a while. And then he used to pick it up. So, other than that, and all the skills I've got are not known anywhere. Like crossing rivers, locking people in rooms, all this sort of thing. The combat's not known anywhere. And this is why the SES are after it, or were after it. That's about as much as I can say about the guy. He had unusual eyes. He had big eyes. I know he dyed his hair. You could see he had blonde hair, but he used to dye it. Any other questions you want to ask us?
Yeah, just do you reckon? I mean, in the sense of the word, and in the sense of the word that is human, like you, Alan, I, do you reckon Ken was human, as in like of this earth?
Well, I made the mistake of saying he was out of this world, and everybody just jumped on the bandwagon when they heard us say that. I don't know. To be quite honest with you, he was a strange chap. I've never met anybody like him since. The skills that these people had were far superior to anything I've ever seen. That's why I criticize all these super soldiers, I never came across any super soldiers. And I can't understand what they use the super soldier for, to be quite honest with you. You need to be in full control of your body. You need to be in full control of your faculties. The second someone messes about with them, I mean, like on, if you're talking about brainwashing, if you start using drugs or any electrical devices, what you do is you damage the brain. I mean, look at some of these super soldiers that you're talking about. I mean, come on. Just look at them. They're physical bloody wrecks, man.
Yeah.
I'm looking at two guys now. I've never seen anything like it. Duncan O'Finian, you saw Duncan O'Finian, haven't you?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Well, have a good look at him, man. The man's a physical wreck. He does a bit of weightlifting. He did some martial arts. He was talking to me, and he said he was going to come over. And then when I sent him some pictures of what we did, oh my God, he changed his mind. Something's telling me not to come over. Oh, I said, okay.
It's just been mentioned on the chat here, on the other chat room, James Casbolt.
Oh, James, yeah. Forget it, man.
Right, okay. We won't go any further with that one.
Forget it. Listen, man, that guy rang me up about, I think it's a couple of years ago now, asking for my advice. His girlfriend was in serious trouble, apparently. The intelligence services were supposed to be after her. I said, well, I thought you were intelligence. Yeah, I thought you were some kind of super soldier. I said, what the hell do you want me for? I thought you knew all this stuff. Then he said, well, I don't know if she's being followed. Oh, I said, so you don't know she's being followed? I said, but you're supposed to be in intelligence, but you don't know she's being followed. No, I got sick of the guy. I chopped him off quick. Because he's a phony, as far as I'm concerned. He's probably a nice enough chap, but he lives in World Cuckoo Land. I mean, if you want to see the stuff he sent me, and I don't even know the guy. I've got all the stuff, records, of everything his girlfriends did. All these people messing about with her. It's crazy, man. Then he was trying to convince Miles that when he touched this spear of destiny, and there must be a sword of destiny, by the way, because somebody is supposed to stab Jesus even with a sword, and once the blood of Jesus touches it, that's where it got the name from, the spear of destiny. But anyway, apparently he's supposed to touch it. Listen to his interview. He can fly around, and soldiers can take pot shots at him, and he survives it. That's in his last interview with Miles Johnson.
I did hear that.
Come off it, man.
Right, well, I'll tell you what, let's crack on. We have two of the questions.
Again, I've always said this. If there's people out there who's got some influence, are in a position to do something about it, if they want me to prove the skills I've got or whatever it is, by all means come up and see us.
Yeah.
Not a problem. I'll prove that what I know. It's not a fairy tale. It's for real. But the trouble is, you see, there's so many crackpots out there. In other words, I use that saying I've got. If you throw the truth into a barrel of lies and deception, you're not going to find it. And that's what all this is about.
John,
so be careful when you're listening to some of these people.
Tell us the thing that you told me, the 3 things that you have to ask these people.
All right. Why, what for, and prove it.
Why, what for, and prove it.
Improve it, yeah. Just ask those 3 questions. Why, what for, and prove it.
There you go. Steve, them 2 questions.
That's actually quite.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of something else. I mean, if someone comes up and says, you have to pay your property tax. Why? What for?
What for?
Improve it. There you go. So anything.
I haven't upset any your listeners.
No.
Our listeners are a great bunch of people, John.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, all you can do is express your, what you feel, John, and that's all. You've been honest.
It's not what I feel. These are facts. These are things I've been through.
Yeah.
These are things I was trained in. It's not like somebody come along and then, well, take David Icke, for instance. He was a footballer. Suddenly he's an expert in just about everything. It's crazy, man. Absolute crazy. Please don't be taken in by these people.
Now, I know myself and John have talked a few times off air, and the stuff that we're not going to talk about on air for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But myself and yourself, John, have kind of... There is a number of people that you feel are out there which are...
false flags, yeah.
False flags. They're basically...
well, look, they admit themselves they've been doing it for 25 years. What have they actually done and what have they actually approved? They've proved nothing. What they've proved is you've got a problem.
It's controlled opposition, isn't it?
They never come with a solution.
Yeah, it's controlled opposition.
That's right. And listen, you want to tell your people out there as well, is this. When they're talking about different races, I've got nothing wrong with the races. I've talked to 3 women. One was Chinese and one was coloured lass, Negro, and the other one was a white lass. And I said, we've got to protect the races. They're trying to destroy the races. But the races, we are not all the same. I don't know whether David Icke's blind, deaf, or just stupid. But we're not the same. We're not from the same places. And there's a very good reason for that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Do you understand? There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Again, we must protect the races, not destroy them. That's what the whole planet's about. But that's why they call them the third world as well. We're all from different, let's say from different places. Okay,
we'll go over to them 2 questions, John, that we have. Steve?
Yeah, John, one of them, you just said it a minute ago, you mentioned the false flag, and that's exactly what one of the questions is. It's just in your life as a soldier, were you ever, and I'm guessing this is because of a lot of the false flag operations that we're seeing nowadays, but were you ever sent on one of those false flag missions?
Of course we were, yes.
Yeah.
The object, say like the one in Cairo, for instance, the object of the exercise was to make it look like suicide, right? If we could. But not like today, you see. We haven't had the advances we've got today. We didn't have GPSs. We didn't have anything like that. In fact, when we went to Cairo, the map we had was a tourist map. That's what we had. But the skills that we had, even using bits of string, the object of the exercise was to get in there, get this guy, get whatever information we got, but try to make it look like suicide. Well, we did. But that was in a spur of the moment. It wasn't something we had planned. You cannot plan, because we didn't know what the room looked like. Do you understand?
Yeah.
We had no idea what the room looked like. But when we actually got into the room in this 3-story building, which was surrounded by barbed wire, and by the way, when I was in Egypt, one of the majors took us down to the area where I had been, But anyway, of course, the barbed wire fences wasn't there anymore, but the building was still there, apparently. Anyway, again, when we got into the room where this guy was, this Russian, he stood up in his chair and he wanted to know who we were, because we weren't dressed as soldiers, when we got in, I saw the keys on the desk. When I saw it's the way we were trained. We're trained with, we're initiative courses. We're quite unusual. In fact, if you ever come over, I'll put you through one, then you'll understand. Then you'll be able to get on your radio program and explain what it is you've seen. That's the best way to talk about something you've experienced.
Yeah.
Again, when Dynamo, that's one of my team, the four, he went up to kill the guy immediately, and when I saw the keys that would stop him, he just knocked the guy out. We found a gun, a service revolver, in his drawer. We used the service revolver, and we killed him with it, but we had like an oil filter. It was a brand new one on the truck that was stolen. And we take it with us because the act is silencers, you see. Anyway, we used that on the guy. But when we saw the keys and the setup in the room, we all came up with the same idea because we've been trained that way. We didn't have to say anything to each other.
Yeah.
We just knew, you see. Well, there was one door, the main door. There was only one door. There was 3 windows. They all had bars on them. You couldn't get out of the room or in the room without going through this one door, which was fairly thick. It was a 3-inch door or something. And there was a lock above the normal lock, which didn't have a keyhole on the other side. So when I saw the keys lying there, we all came up with the same idea, and we all jumped into action without actually talking to each other. We all got these bits of string out that we always carry. If you come over, I'll explain why, and then you say, I understand why you need this. What we actually did was, and if you come over, I'll show it's done. We locked the door, put a chair underneath the handle of the door, and put a bolt in the top of the door, put the keys in the guy's pockets, sitting at the desk, right? There's blood everywhere, the gun's lying on the floor, and we weren't in the room when we did that. We were actually in the hallway when we did that. So work that one out.
I can't, I'm sorry.
I'll show you how it's done, like I showed this officer out the SES, who he couldn't believe it, and he stood up in amazement when he saw what we did. And like I said, the first words that, see, this can't be possible, what's in the book,
Yeah.
Anyway, we proved otherwise.
Obviously, we don't want it too authentic because we don't want to kill anybody. But
and if we do go over, please don't kill us.
The object of the exercise was, when we locked our door and put a chair underneath the handle of the door and put the bolt in, and then we let through the skylight that we came, where they were outside trying to put this damn fire out that we created, we fired the gun in the hallway so they would hear it, and they all came dashing upstairs. Of course, by the time they braid the door down to get in, which would have took them quite some time, because it was a big, thick, heavy door, they would have found that the chair, the bolts were in, and the keys were in the guy's pocket. So in their eyes, it had to be suicide. That's why these colonels and majors in Egypt wanted to see us. Now, I've got photographs of that. In fact, if you get on my website, you'll see them. My website's ucsdefense.com. If you get on there, you'll see the pictures of me being out there. So I don't think they're going to be inviting me out there just because I have to be a crane driver in Parsons.
yeah. Okay, we have another question for you, John, from one of our listeners.
Okay.
Yeah, John, this one comes in from Howie, and Howie was wondering that when you were doing all the work that was supposed to be against the Illuminati, how were you sure that you weren't actually working for the pro-Illuminati faction?
Well, I've been asked that question about 50 times, so it's nothing new. It's the first question that comes up. Really, other than what we're doing and how we're doing it, and who we were doing it to, then I knew I wasn't working for the elite. Do you understand? It's the people who are taken out. Don't forget, you see, you're being deceived when you think Russia stands alone. They're not. The people that run Russia are the same people, do you understand, that created the First World War, the Second World War. The Russians all this Russian business is actually a con. It really is. If you look up the history of Russia and see who took over Russia, who killed the royal family in Russia, and who killed millions of Russians, check it up. Don't take my word for it. They are still in power in Russia. All of this business about Cold War stuff, it's another false flag. Believers.
Okay.
Check it up yourself. Do some history. Check up. You'll find that the people that run Russia, that's in charge of Russia, aren't Russians.
Okay, well, obviously with everything that's going on at the moment, John, we talked about what's happening in Syria and Iran. Do you want to kind of give us your take based on your military background, what you think they're up to?
Okay, the story is that they're still talking about hit Iran. Okay? So for the last 3 years, they've been telling you they're going to hit Iran. Well, they are, but there's two or three things slowing them up, if you like. They had to get the logistics in place, you see. So America is one of the biggest problems. America, as you know, a lot of Americans have their own weapons. They've got their own guns. And they've had a lot of false flags over there to try and create a scenario where they can take the guns off the people. And they've been trying for the last 3 years now. And it's failed them. But in the meantime, they needed backup money. They needed other kind of energies like fuel. And they had to get their troops in position. So they went into Libya, but the first one was Iraq. They had to take Iraq. They had to split up Syria from Iran, because Iraq is smack dab in the middle. And that's why they took Iran, because then they've got Syria surrounded. They're going to flatten Syria, level it, believers. That's what they're going to do. And the only reason why they haven't hit Iran yet, they thought they could disarm the American people. Well, you thought, well, what the hell's that got to do with striking Iran? Well, the second they hit Iran, the Israelis will close the Straits of Hormuz. When they close the Straits of Hormuz, the West will crumble overnight. America and England will crumble. You'll have nothing. So get prepared. It's definitely coming. You can say whatever you like, but it's going to happen. I think they're going to hit Iran this year, because they can't disarm Americans, but they've got the coffins ready, they've got the concentration camps ready, it's all set up, and this false economy that we've got now in England and America is going to collapse. They know that they can't prolong that, so they've got to hit Iran pretty soon, because the second they close the Straits of Hormuz, they can blame Iran for it, and say this is why you've got nothing. They're very, very clever people, are very astute, and that's exactly why they haven't hit Iran.
But if
because they haven't disarmed Americans, because there'll be a civil war. But now that they've got energy weapons, they don't give a damn. They can wipe half the Americans out overnight.
And what about
the energy weapons they've got?
But what about if Iran launched the nukes and stuff? I mean,
they can't. They can't. They'll be flattened overnight, because of the advanced technology. You saw what they did to the towers. They turned solid steel girders into dust. And people still believe that aeroplanes crashed into those buildings. That's why we've got a problem. We've got a big problem when people believe that aluminium aeroplanes can cut through solid steel girders and do that. That's a load of rubbish. An aeroplane in London just a few weeks ago was hit by a bloody duck, and it went right through the front of it. These aeroplanes, I'm a pilot, I've been a pilot for 17 years now. Aeroplanes are made of aluminium. And the way they're structured, when they hit that building, they would just disintegrate it. They wouldn't have went into the building. But again, it's the energy weapon. Look at the energy weapons they're using. They can destroy something like that. They can destroy anything. Don't forget, I mean, they've got things even better than that. And that's exactly what they'll use on the Iranians. Whatever the Iranians set off, they can knock them out of the sky. You know, the snap of your fingers.
Okay.
They're so far advanced.
Well, we're going to leave a bit of room at the end so we can look at the solutions. But we have more questions come in, John, so we're going to throw them over to you, Steve.
Yeah, we have a couple of questions, John, and a couple of comments as well. Jim in the UK says, if they bomb Iran's nuclear facilities, they will contaminate the whole of the Middle East. It's a non-starter, so obviously that's not going to happen. And a question...
Well, okay, let's answer that bit before you go any further, right? You're talking about the people, if you think back, the same people that are in charge of this planet now are the same people that invented the nuclear bomb. When they invented the nuclear bomb, they had questions about it. They said, look at this thing could actually ignite the atmosphere of the planet and destroy it. They said, okay, let's try it. Now, when you're talking about psychopaths here. You see, one thing, if you want to beat the enemy, you've got to start thinking like the enemy. Because you're not going to beat them otherwise. These people have no feelings, man, that way. They don't think the way you think. You're using your logic. Forget your logic. It doesn't work. These people will do anything. They'll destroy anything. You don't know who these people really are. That's why you think that they're normal human beings. They're not. They'll destroy Iran, all right. But again, when you're thinking about nuclear weapons, the Iranians haven't got that many nuclear weapons. Believe us, it's all a show. It's just a put-up. But they will attack Iran. But if you... I mean, look at all the silly things they've done so far. They don't care, man. They really don't care.
Okay. Let's go to the next one there. I'm just conscious of time, so we'll get all the questions in.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask these in no particular order. Another one from the TNS, not the TNS, the MSI chat. John is wondering about termite. Why use space-age weapons? And this is in relation to termite. There was some information saying that termite may have been used in the taking down.
Thermite.
Yeah.
No, thermite wasn't used. I mean, sorry, thermite might have been used on what you call the central structure to make sure that it fell down, that the bottom half of the buildings would fall in a straight line. That's the only reason why they use thermite. But thermite cannot turn concrete into dust. And it also, you cannot melt the steel girders by fuel, or any kind of fuel, because steel girders, they would have been covered with plaster, they would be covered with fire-resistant plaster. You couldn't have done it. It's as simple as that. And if you listen to the guys who survived that scenario, the ones that were caught in the lift, when they looked up, the building wasn't there. 3/4 of the building disappeared completely. It wasn't there. It vanished.
Yeah.
You're only looking at, if you look at the heap, you're only looking at 25% of the building. The rest had vanished. And if you look at cars that were over half a mile away, some of them were burnt in half.
Yeah, we heard that, all right. We definitely heard that. All right, Steve, next one.
Yeah, next one, John. This one comes in from Michael Stephen, the live Mike, and his question, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, I just know, but can you please ask John, who are the NomenKlatura? I could spell that if you want me to.
NomenKlatura.
What?
No.
What, is the K silent?
Yeah, could be.
NomenKlatura.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, again, I prefer not to say anything about that at the moment.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
There's a reason for it. Just put it that way.
Okay.
You see, put it this way. Tell me he's on the right track.
He's on. Well, there
Michael,
you go.
You're on the right track.
You're on the
Michael.
right track. Good one, Mike. Right, next one.
Okay. Hi, Andy and Steve.
Andy.
Andy, yeah.
No.
You're Andy now. Could you ask John if there is likely to be a trickle down of the advanced energy systems they are using? Crown copyright. Sorry, no, sir. No, sorry.
What do you mean a trickle down? What do you mean by that?
I'm not 100% sure. That's from Simply Steve. Steve, can you give us, maybe expand on that question? A trickle down of the advanced energy. I don't even understand it. If you could maybe expand on that, that'd be great. Next one is from Crown Copyright. I think this is just a comment. He says Iran are currently moving its long-range missile launchers.
Yeah, well, I have been for the last 2 years. It doesn't mean anything.
All right.
It doesn't mean anything. See, again, Iran is surrounded completely now. All I want to do is make sure that nobody's at the back door. That's why they've got to get rid of Syria. But the fact that Iran is not doing anything and allowing its friends to be annihilated means they can't fight back. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And if it's anything like the Eurovision, where neighbours are voting for neighbours, obviously in the Middle East it'll probably be the same thing. But how come
put it
Russia?
this way, again, you see, nearly all of these countries are run by gangsters. Do you understand? They were put there by the elite, and it's taken them over 100 years to do this. It's just like they did in this country. They had to get into like Oxford and Cambridge. The Tavistock Institute took over these places. This is where they train and educate people to get into government. This is what Burgess McLean and Kim Philby was all about. Burgess McLean was out in Cyprus, and we knew about it. We could have took him out any time we felt like it. He went across the borders to speak to certain people, well, I'll not mention. But anyway, he was out there, and he was trying to find out who's behind the things that we were doing. That's what he was out there for. You see, but again, when they took over Oxford and Cambridge, where they trained politicians, and it's taken them a lot of years to do this, but they've done it. So all your politicians now were trained by these people, and all the good guys have been kicked out. You see, so now they're in every level of government, from the intelligence services to your police to your schools. They've spent the last 50, 60 years doing that.
Yeah, and
that's the position they're in now.
And that's why
the Jimmy Savile. That's why they want to bring down society. You see.
Yeah, and this is why we have common purpose and Agenda 21.
Common purpose is part of it.
Agenda 21.
But also, some of the people that, not mentioning here, some of the people that are bringing the subjects up about common purpose are actually helping them.
Okay, so you don't want to mention any names on that
no.
one. Okay, okay. There's a question here, John. And it's something that I was going to ask you as well regarding Syria, and how come Russia is actually backing up Syria?
They're not, man. Well, like I said, the elite get each other to fight each other. Do you understand?
Yeah.
The object, the exercise, is to turn everybody against each other. You see, if you knew something about the Knights Templars, then you'd understand. The Knights Templars done exactly the same. When the Jews went back to Israel to get the gold that they had hidden, they had virtually taken over best part of Europe, in the sense that exactly what they're doing now. They've got Europe in debt, and they tried the same thing then. And they got the King of France was in debt with the Knights Templars. 9 of the Knights Templars were trained by knights from this country. They went out to the temple in Jerusalem to get their gold and their diamonds to bring it back. That's when they started the big army of the Knights Templars. You don't forget, there's a million stories about the Knights Templars. You're never going to get the real story. But if you look at the overall picture, you can see what they've done. They came back. They've got other people to take their jobs over. When the King of France said about them and killed quite a few of them, most of them left and took their gold with them and their diamonds, and they ended up in Scotland. That's where the Freemasons started. But like I say, there's so many lies and deception going on, you're never going to get to know the full truth. But the facts are they did go out there, they did get something, and they did bring it back with them. You see?
Yeah, well, I agree with you. One thing that we've kind of learned running the show for nearly 3 years now is that there's so many, everybody has a different opinion on things. It's very hard to say what the truth is.
Well, that's the story I was telling you when I said, if you throw the truth into a battle of lies and deception, then the chances are you're not going to find it.
Yeah.
And that's why they want. This is why they want the YouTube on. This is why they've got a lot of crackpots on. You're never going to know who's real and who isn't.
Yeah.
And the more we play this game, the worse it'll get. You always get people coming on and saying, "Oh, America's going to be hit with nuclear bombs next week," you know, and all these other stories you hear, and then they don't happen. Well, that's exactly what they want, because then you stop believing. When the true story comes out, you're not going to believe it.
Exactly. Steve, you got a few more there.
Yes, there's a couple more have come in, John. Some are questions and some are comments. The comments you're more than welcome to have give an opinion on as well. But one
what I've been saying is obviously going to be a shock to a lot of people. A lot of people are programmed, and it goes against their beliefs. And if it's a belief very, very hard to move.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're bound to get a lot of people who will reject what I'm saying because it doesn't coincide with their way of thinking. You see, so you're always going to get that. And I don't think I'm ever going to be able to answer the question in such a way where they're going to be satisfied.
Well, I think, John, a lot of the people that are listening in this evening on both of the streams, there's no one actually disagreeing with you. There's people kind of just questioning, wanting clarification. But most of the people who generally listen in to us anyway will be very, very open-minded, and they wouldn't just dismiss an idea. They'd go off and research it first and try and find out as much as they could.
The trouble is, see, your tools you've got to research it are the tools that they're supplying you with.
Yeah.
You see where I'm coming from?
They're giving you the information. So
they're giving you the bloody information. So again, it's like when David Icke says everything is an illusion, right?
Yeah.
So if everything is an illusion, how do you know it's an illusion? If you're part of that illusion, in other words, how do you work it out that you're part of an illusion? If it's an illusion, you can't do it. It's not possible. In other words, whatever tools you pick up are just an illusion. So it's the same thing as what you're just talking about. How can you examine something with something that's already contaminated?
I'm getting a headache.
This is not an illusion, by the way.
Yeah.
This is heaven and hell, if you like, but that's another big story. But this is. Look, do you honestly believe that a God created a world, put people on it, and then he turns into a Hitler because nobody believes him or want to follow him, and he kills millions of people, drowns half the people on the earth? It's like I said, it's got nothing to do with that. These are just stories. The real story they don't want you to know, and I know what the real story is. And the trouble is, I want to get it out there in a full film where everybody understands it from beginning to end. It has to cover every angle. Not just a little bit of it where it could be pulled to bits, you see. The whole thing, the whole story has to come out in such a way where everybody understands it. There's a reason why we're here.
Well, the question...
if I was a heaven, why don't we just miss this bit out and go straight there?
Well, the question that you said that we talked about during the week, I think we could actually say this. I have my own personal attitude. I don't really have time for religion because I personally feel religion is man-made to control man.
Well, look at the people who invented religion, who started the religion. Moses, he's a Jew, and it was Jesus or God who tried to create a new world order then. And what he did was, people don't have to like this, but it's in the Bible. You can read it. He went around slaughtering people if they didn't follow him. He drowned them, he brought plagues on them. He said, you do as you're told. You follow me. You believe in what I want you to believe in. If you don't, I'll drown you, or I'll kill you in some way. And after that, even when I kill you, I'll send you to hell. It's all part of this. You've all fell for it.
The George Carlin clip comes to mind about religion. If anybody's ever seen it, if you haven't seen it, go to YouTube and type George Carlin and religion.
Like I say, he does put it in a sort of a
humorous way.
Nutshell, really, in a way. But
does.
it's true, you see. But the trouble is, when people's got a belief, they don't want to hear this sort of thing, you see. But you know, the thing is, it's there in the Bible. It tells you that in the Bible. It's not me saying it. But this God went around killing people, slaughtering people if they didn't follow him.
Well, we've said this before, John.
That's a fact.
When we did a seminar down in Waterford.
Yeah.
We talked about the whole belief system, and we've always said, myself and Steve have what we call a fluid belief system. So we
drink plenty.
Drink quite a lot. Drink a lot of tea. No, we have a fluid belief system.
You see, the same people that created the Bible, Moses, remember the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill, and the first thing he did is when he sees his people, when he comes back, why people believe that one man went up in the mountains and come back and he was talking to a flaming bush, why people believed him, I have no idea. If I did that, they'd probably lock us up.
He was smoking the bush.
This guy comes back and he shows you, there's a film about the 10 Commandments, and on the top it says, thou shalt not kill. But his people are worshipping, is it the golden ram or something? They're worshipping something.
Well, that's Sodom and Gomorrah.
No. This is when Moses comes back. It's called the 10 Commandments.
Yeah, but that's...
He goes back. Okay, well, anyway, what he does is he throws the tablets at them and kills best part of them. I mean, it's got on the top, I shall not kill. I mean, but it's the same people that created those stories, the same people that are running the show now. But you see, if you want to know what's going to happen, read the Bible, because they'll make sure that the predictions in the Bible will come true. They'll make sure that it comes true.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, John. We've a couple of questions, and then I want to start talking about solutions for the remaining.
Well, you never talk about solutions on the radio.
Well, we'll touch base on it. You know, we'll just we'll go round it rather than go into.
Never educate the enemy.
Never educate the enemy. Okay. Well, we'll see where we go with it anyway. But I'd like to kind of have something positive coming from what we're talking about.
Because we don't want to finish on a bad note. We always like to finish on a positive note.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try.
Yeah. Okay, Steve, 2 questions there.
Right, okay. This is a question in from John. John says that the power behind the throne on planet Earth are the reptilians. They have no feelings and will do anything to keep in power. However, their days are numbered. Any thoughts on that one, John?
Well, like I said, it's we're not in a. I can't say how the days are numbered. It's. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that at all. They've never been in a better position than what they're in now, and I'm not going to call them reptilians. They've never been in a better position than what they're in now, especially when they've got this advanced technology. But one thing is for certain, if we don't get rid of a large part of this population of the planet, we're in serious trouble anyway. But that's why they've got all these coffins ready and concentration camps ready in America. This is coming down. But all of this belief that they're in serious trouble, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that one bit. I really don't. There's nobody going to... You see, if you want to talk about aliens, there's a lot of bad people out there. In fact, there's quite a few of them that aren't won't help us in any way whatsoever. This film needs to come out. It'll explain all of that. I don't want to say it too much over the airways, but believe me, a big large part of the population will have to be taken out before we can do anything about it.
Okay.
That's why. Okay. These people have got shelters everywhere, enormous underground cities, and they've even got what you call the doomsday seed vaults.
That's right.
Do you not think they're trying to tell you something?
Yeah, in Norway. It's off an island in Norway.
You know, they're not going to do all that just in case a meteorite hits the planet. No, they've got plans, and if you want to know what the plans are, read the Bible, because it'll tell you in the Bible, because they wrote the Bible, and they're going to make sure that the plans, whatever the predictions are, they will come true. Believers, they'll make them come true.
Okay.
That's why they've got HARP, That's why they're messing about with the weather. They've got to make the predictions in the Bible come true, so it takes the blame away from them. You're dealing with experts here. You're dealing with, these people are psychology. They're brilliant.
Oh,
they're brilliant.
Okay,
Absolutely
we have another one for you there, John.
Okay.
Right, I think you've already answered this one, but I'll ask it anyway. Can you please ask John if there is any light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, no, we'll get to that question,
Okay,
but the one at the top.
The one at this one here?
TRP. No,
Yeah.
can the guest give us a timing window?
So you've just done it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
At the end of the day, you see, again, it's if we had more white caps, I think that's the terminology you use.
White hats, yeah.
Yeah, if I had more of them, I'd be able to probably cut it right down to a month. But unfortunately, I haven't got any information coming in at all, other than what you see and what I see. I know that what's taking place in Britain, they cannot maintain it. It's not possible. You see, there's a limit to how many people they can bring in and how much money they can give them just to keep building houses and buying things to keep the economy afloat. Because they've did the job, they've closed down all the industry, the shipyards, they've closed it all down, where kids aren't clever anymore in those areas. And I don't know how long this will last, but I don't think they've got very long. But it's not just that. You've got to take the armed forces that are out there and the amount of money they need to keep them out there. It costs hundreds of billions. And this is why they took Libya. They needed the gold, they needed the oil, they needed more money coming in. That's exactly what the Templars did when they went out to Israel and got the gold and the diamonds, and they brought it back with them. They're doing a very, very similar thing now. That's why they want Syria as well. They're getting money in from everywhere and building up this huge army surrounding Iran, and the next step will be China and North Korea and places like that. But it's definitely going to happen. It's coming down, whether we like it or not. You can say whatever you like, but you've got to understand it's taken place now. You cannot say that Libya hasn't been attacked. Half the countries in Africa has been attacked. Egypt's finished. Iraq's finished. These are things that are happening, and nothing has stopped them so far. So don't say there's somebody out there stopping them, because there's not. It's like it's like an express train. This.
Okay, so let's go back to that question. The one at the top again, Steve.
The Strait of Hormuz. I think it's Hormuz. Any idea?
Hormuz.
Yeah, any idea when that's gonna? They're wondering about a timing window for closure.
The second they hit Iran, the second as the problem starts with Iran, they'll close the Straits of Hormuz. When they close the Straits of Hormuz, everything that they've got us relying on, everything comes from the Far East or the Middle East. It's going to be cut off. You're going to have nothing. And your communications, like what we're using now, will be cut off overnight. You're going to be running about like headless chickens. You'll not know what to do. You'll be picking your mobile phones up, and they're not going to be working. So if people want to plod on the way they are, and kidding ourselves as some kind of experts in this field, they're heading for disaster. Believe as they are, because we're not going to get anywhere like this, arguing among ourselves, and these so-called experts with our bright ideas. Which have these shows, I'll not say who, but all of that is literally rubbish, absolute rubbish. And all this love business, where the hell's it been for the last 10,000 years or? Where is it? Why isn't it working?
All right, John, we're going to have to do a few quick hit questions because we're running out of time. Okay, so Steve, if you just want to do a quick hit,
I will go as quick as I can. John, Chris is wondering, what's your opinion on the disclosure process? I think that's the one that Stephen Greer is involved in.
Washington, that was on...
I understand exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think they're going to hang on to that as long as they can. I'll tell you why. Most of this advanced technology came from these people. Let's put it that way. And they don't want you to know who it is exactly that supplied it. So they'll hang on to that as long as they possibly can.
Okay. Next question.
Have you ever been in Iraq?
Have I ever been in Iraq? No, I haven't been in Iraq. I've been in Lebanon, Beirut, Jarrah, right up to the Syrian borders. I've been in, like I say, Egypt. That was one main areas at that time. The 16 have been even in Europe, North Africa, Chad, before I joined up with them. I was taking the place of someone, I don't know who, but I did. And like I said, the qualifications I had was I didn't drink, I had never drank, I've never even tasted it, even today. And the reason they said out, my mind hadn't been interfered with. That's why I was chosen, because they could put me through that one step beyond, because my mind hadn't been tampered with in any way. And that's one of the reasons why they chose us. Besides the fact I was a gymnast, I was a marksman before I even went in the army, because I was like a gamekeeper. So I had all the qualifications. If you were to try and pick someone out there, the forces then, I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I don't think you're going to find many people like that, and also who kept as fit as what I did. So that was my qualifications mainly.
Okay. Got a couple more questions there. We're just watching the time there.
Yeah, John, another one from this one from Crown Copyright, a long-time listener of the show and an all-round good guy. He's wondering what's your take on what's the idea with the UK scaling back on troops and aircraft carriers, etc.?
Well, what they're doing now is just like, as you know, that the European Union or Brussels run Britain now. They actually run it. We haven't got any laws in this country. They're just left there in place to keep everybody happy, but they can close Parliament down overnight. Now, the object they exercise now is they don't want nationalists to come out of the woodwork. Do you understand? Yeah. They've built up a huge European army. They've got a huge European army. It's one of them is called the United Nations. So that they're ready for anything, and they've got to get rid of a lot of troops. They don't need them. You see, they just need to secure certain areas with troops, and that's why the European Union have their own army now. We're going to have, the second things go wrong, we're going to have troops, foreigners, coming here in large numbers. That's the object of the exercise.
Okay.
But again, like I said, they've got energy weapons, they've got all sorts, and they're the sort of things they're going to use in certain areas.
Okay, we want to just kind of, I know you don't want to say too much, John, but one of the questions, which is the one that I said we'd leave there, Steve, if you want to read that one out.
Yeah, that's just the one, wondering, is there any what's the answer? I haven't heard the question. Okay. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, well, there is, but again, let's not talk about the actual strategy, the full strategy. But we've got to get people that is in fairly good positions out there. I'm struggling not to say certain things.
Well, let me kind of help you with that, John. We do feel, and it's only logical, and it makes sense to me, that there are people in higher up positions who are seeing what's going on and are either doing something about it or waiting for the opportunity to do something about it. Because everybody cannot be programmed the same. So there has to be people in positions of power or somewhere along the chain to say, I'm not happy with this.
Like I said, sorry to interrupt you, but like I said, they've spent 50 years getting rid of those people. Do you understand?
Yeah.
They've get rid of them. There's only a handful out there, and these handful are literally terrified. What the word is come to us and nothing will happen to you. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And we have got the answer, providing we can get our logistics in place.
Yeah.
That's about as far as I can go with that. But again, they've spent a lot of years making sure that the goodies that were in various positions are out now. All of them. All out. Believers.
So
that's why they can get away with all this child abuse. And, you know, I was trying to tell Robert Greene out. I met him a couple of years ago. And he said he was going up to Scotland. I said, don't. I says, I think the exact words were, I think you're very brave or very stupid. Or both. I says, if you want help, come to me. He didn't. He went up there. He whatever he did, he was arrested. Then he asked me to come help him. I said, no, you've stuck your head above the parapet now. I'm not going to do it. You see, so they don't listen. They don't realise how big. I think he realises now. I don't think you're going to hear from the chap. He's a good bloke. He's a smashing chap. But again, they think they know it. They think they know it all, but they don't. We're not going to get through to these people. Now he's spent quite a few months in prison, and he's a marked man now. He daren't step out of the line. You see, that's the thing you don't do. You know, you should never have done it, because it goes right to the top. From your Jimmy Savile, who was the procurer, it goes right to the bloody top, man. To all your top people and like MPs, and it goes right to the very, very top.
yeah.
You see, you don't go on the outskirts, man, and try and do something. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And obviously we don't want to. I know that we have talked about stuff, John, but we don't want to say it on air, because that's the worst thing you could do is actually.
Well, that's why we're allowed to talk to each other. They want to know what's going on. We haven't got that facility, you see.
Yeah.
Listen, to unprogram people, they knew that, you see. This is what they've done. They've spent, like I said, the last 50, 60 years taking over the newspapers, the television, everything. That's how you program people. You need to be in a house 24/7. That's how you do it. You're not going to do it the way we are doing it, because you're not along people long enough. You know, you see, people have to be willing. So what you do is you bring up various different programs, lots of different programs, that you know that everybody will like. Not everybody liking every program, but if you bring enough programs up, somebody will be satisfied somewhere, you see? So they bring hundreds of them up to make sure that they're covering the whole area. In other words, every mindset, you see? And they've spent the last 40 years programming people. You see? That's what they've done.
Yeah.
They're in a position. Yeah. I mean, now, if I go downstairs now, I know exactly what's going to be on. I know the routine. I know how to do it. You see?
Yeah.
So the second someone switches off your program, therefore your program, that's why they're called programs, they fall back into their program. The first thing they'll do is switch on the TV.
Yeah.
And they go back into that reality.
Well, no, what we do, we obviously had where the programming and the television, but John, we've reached the end of. Oh, you've one more question, right? One more quick question. Then.
Oh, two more. I've two questions. Oh, I'm sorry. I've two. These are the last two questions.
Holy Jesus!
Sorry.
I'm trying to do the timing here, and
this is important stuff.
Oh, right, go on.
Right, John, what do you think of the UK and the French military joining up?
Well, it's part of the New World Order, isn't it? It's part of the European Union.
Yeah.
It's part of the United Nations. The United Nations is the world army. They're the people behind everything that's taking place.
Yeah.
That's what it's. See, the SCS are part of it now.
Yeah.
The SCS is being handed over to Brussels. Check it up, you'll find I'm right.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You see, your Queen, which is they are the elite. They signed all our rights over to Brussels in 1996, all of it. So there is no rules in it. We haven't got any laws in this country. They're just letting us play about with them to keep us happy.
That's exactly how it seems. Okay, last question.
That's right, that's a fact. Check it up.
No, I well believe it. Well believe it. Last question, John. This is from one of our listeners. He says, is John aware of old school military types from the late 1970s, aristocrats, that almost started an armed coup d'etat in the UK against the Harold Wilson government?
I am aware of it. But like I say, it's best to say nothing at this stage.
Right.
Okay, John. Well,
I
listen,
am aware of it. Yes.
we reached the end of the night. Thanks again for coming on. Brilliant. I mean, as
it's a
we
pleasure. I just hope, like I said, I hope people understand. What I was talking about are facts. Just look it up. When I was talking about the Bible, read the Bible. It tells you. It's not something I'm making up here.
Well,
It's,
John,
again, if people want to do something about this, they're really got to stop. Get out of this little world that people are creating for them. Get away from it. I don't know how to explain it.
well, look, I mean, there's certain things that we're not going to say in there because we talked about it off air during the
Very,
week.
very difficult to say something but say nothing.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
well,
But
did you see the comment there from Chris? Chris says, lads, please get John back on for a part 2. This info is brilliant. So, yeah.
oh yeah, we can organise that.
And there's Crown Copyright. When's John's part 2?
Yeah, okay.
Jesus. They want you back on, you haven't even left yet.
We'll have to get you back on, John. Oh, right, John.
Listen, I would like to say to all your listeners, I hope I've helped in some way. And if anybody really want to, ask us any question they like, okay? And I'll do my best to answer it.
No problem.
Really, when people say wake up, the people that are telling you to wake up, please ignore them because they're really part and parcel of what's taking place.
I know, John.
It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe, but they are
John,
believers.
John,
That's the business I was in. I
And
recognise it.
But we're telling people to wake up, John.
Well, maybe we should be telling them to go back to sleep.
No, that's where the problem lies. You see, it's all psychological. The words that we're using now are all mixed up. Like I said, it's the truth in a barrel of lies and deception. Because of that, people are really confused. They don't know who to turn to. They don't know who to listen to. And that this is exactly what they want, unfortunately.
Exactly. Well,
It's exactly what they want.
okay.
But again, we've got to start getting together, in big meetings but check it out because you'll be infiltrated. You're going to be infiltrated. So form your own security. That's the way to do it. But there is a way out of this, believe us.
We'll have to work on that. All right, John. Listen, we've reached that time. Thanks again for coming on. I'll probably be talking to you during the week anyway. So until then, I'll talk to you. I'm going to pass you over to Steve, and Steve's just going to get your web links and your bits and pieces.
Okay. Right, John, if people were asking earlier on for your website, can you just throw your website out there again?
Yeah, well, it's ucsdefense.com.
Okay, and any closing words, John, before we go to a piece of music?
I don't know. I'm stuck for words, to be honest with you. But I would like to just say, good night. And if I can help, please call on us.
No problem, John. Thanks again for coming on, John. We're just going to go off to a bit of music, and we'll be back after this.
That's Madness One Step Beyond. I just kind of thought that was a fitting song to play because John Irwin spoke about the training program that he went through, and it was the One Step Beyond program, the near-death experience, and we were just having a bit of a laugh here. And hang on, you just said something, and I found it funny, and I laughed. You were saying about
trained by Buster Blood Vessel.
Yeah, he wasn't in Madness.
Was he not? Oh no, he was in
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Name that band.
Name that band, Buster Blood Vessel.
Fatty Bluster Blood. Ah, come on.
Yeah, we should know.
What
this.
was his name? We should know this.
this.
We're old.
Yeah, we're 80s people. Anyway, it'll come back to us. So somebody on the chat facility will tell us who the band which Buster Blood Vessel was in, if you can remember that. Chris says here on the chat facility something about, lads, does this mean I've to take off my bumper sticker? No, keep your bumper sticker on. We'll be sending out more. Let people know you're awake.
Yeah, no, it's only people who are telling you to wake up are the problem. So we're the problem. You're already awake, so I don't know.
Oh, Johnny Mead.
Bad manners.
Bad manners. Johnny Mead got it on the MIS chat. Bad manners.
And 2-6 got it on
2-6 got it on theirs. There you go. Bad manners.
Well done. Thanks, lads.
Okay, well that was, brilliant information from John. I have spoken to John on a number of occasions during the week. And, yeah, he has good information and he has ideas, but he doesn't want to talk about them over the air, for obvious reasons. So, but yeah, we will aim to get him on in a few weeks' time, and we'll have a chat with John again and catch up on what's going on.
Yeah, and as we said at the beginning as well, if you want to go to YouTube and check out, if you go onto YouTube and type in Miles Johnston, Johnston with a T, and he done some basis series of videos. There's a couple of interviews up there done by Miles with John Irwin. It's a lot of the same, similar information that he covered here this evening, but you can actually have a visual on the guy as well, and it's very interesting and very entertaining. Well, entertaining. How entertaining can bad news be? I don't know, but it is quite good to watch.
Yeah, the video is very good. Crown Copyright says, when are you boys getting some? If some of the Irish lads back on the show? Well, we've no Irish lads planned, but we do have an Irish girl, Aisling, the girl against Fluoride, is going to be coming on in a few weeks' time. And we're going to be talking about Aisling all about her Girl Against Fluoride campaign and what Aisling's up to with that. Now, next week, we do have, the plan is to have Dean Clifford on. If Dean's not available, I'm sure we'll sort something out, but I know Dean's very busy at the moment, but hopefully Dean will be on. And we'll touch base with Dean, find out what he's been up to and what's been going on in his life and what's been happening. So that would be good to have catch up on Dean and what's going on there. But yeah, we never got to talk to John about the Woolwich thing, by the way.
No, we didn't.
So, but I do think that it's I feel that it's a false flag, in all honesty. Steve's going to post in the website address.
Just been done. Crown Copyright beat me to it. Yeah,
website going in for John there. But you know, it's again, you have to do your research and the information that's out there and cross-reference as much as you can, and try and have as much as you can a fluid belief system. Because you know, if you're brainwashed or conditioned to think a certain way, you know, sometimes we think our minds are open until somebody challenges something, and then we defend it to the hilt. When what we should be saying is, well, okay, this person's saying something to us. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I'm going to go off and check it. I'm not just going to say no to it straight away. I'll go off and check and see what that person's saying. And that's the important thing of having a fluid belief system. Take on board these things, check them out, research them, rather than saying, no, I don't believe that, just because we've been conditioned to think that way.
And speaking of a fluid belief system, Chris mentioned earlier that Dunn's are doing 20 Carlsberg for €13 if anyone's interested.
Okay, well.
I just thought I'd mention that because it was kind of funny.
Well, that's before the Straits of Hormuz get closed down. I think it'd be a good idea to get your Carlsberg. Because, I mean, there seems to be, we have a few minutes left, but there seems to be a lot going on this year. Definitely time is speeding up. I definitely say that. I'm sure all of you might agree, I don't know, but time just seems to be flying by. As if we're
the last 2 hours have just flown by.
There you go. As if we're kind of heading to some destination, I don't know. And there's a lot of talk about things happening in June, things that might be happening in August. Again, finger in the air. We've heard it all before. So we're sitting on the fence. But I do believe, and I do feel that you should still be stocking up on water, stock up on food, stock up on medical supplies. Look, if nothing happens, you have a stock anyway, alright? But if something happens, at least you have something there. And if you can get up to the cheapy shops, you know, they do, you know, tins of soup and all that kind of stuff for 89 cents or 69 cents. So try and, you know, get something in rather than nothing. And, you know, if you can go for having about a month's supply of water and food, near enough, as best you can. I know money's tight. Money's tight for all of us. I mean, we're all in the same boat. But if you can do that, then it'd be a big help to have that. Especially if you have a family.
Yeah, the only thing that concerns me is that, I mean, what I took out of John's information, if I had to kind of sum it up, it would be that we're screwed. We are screwed, and if we do kind of have our supplies, if you like, it just means that we last longer than other people, but essentially we're all kind of screwed.
Well, put it this way, if a meteorite's coming into the earth, make sure you walk towards it, and then you're sorted, aren't you?
Yes.
I mean, you don't really want to be around if being a survivor. If it's, I mean, they're saying, you know, no, I'm not going to say it because we've got a few minutes left, and that's on that, ending on a negative, so we're not going to go down there.
Let's not. We'll
talk to it again. Anyway, next week we have Dean Clifford on, and And we're looking to get a few other people on the show as well to talk about different areas. But don't forget, we have on the 17th of June, we have our seminar coming up. Walter's going to be down there. We'll be down there giving out stickers and stuff. And that's going to be very interesting for information. If the seminar goes well, we'll obviously try and hold a lot more seminars. And obviously, what we'd love to do is get over to John in Newcastle and see what he has. He said he's going to show us the evidence. We'd love to fly over there if we had the money. So don't forget, if you can afford 1 or 2, 3, 4 euros, by all means, it'd be great if you can donate. Or if you can't, if there's any adverts on the website, just click on the adverts on the website, and that will help as well. I'm not too sure who's on next after us on MSI. On the 9 o'clock. If anybody's there, can tell.
Probably be the news.
Probably be the news.
The 9 o'clock news. I don't know. I think there was a mention of a name popped up earlier. I cannot remember who it was, but I'm sure it's going to be a good show anyway. Yeah, I don't know who's on at 9 o'clock, guys. If anybody in chat facility can tell us who's on, we'll give you that. We'll be handing over the baton.
A bit of a plug. But again, as usual, if you have any links or any information that you come across, let us know. If there's any whistleblowers out there of any information, give us a shout. And we're happy to touch base with you and talk. And if there's anything we can do, or come on the show if you want to talk about something, by all means.
Yeah, there's an open invitation. If anyone out there who's listening has information that they want to share, I know someone did mention earlier about getting more Irish people on the show. If anyone is on the land of Era and you have some information and you'd be willing to just hook up with us on Skype and just kind of shoot the breeze, by all means do that. There's no kind of criteria that you have to have all your A levels, or you have to be well versed in this, that, or the other. You don't. We'll shoot the breeze with anybody.
Exactly. Okay, we're going to hand over to the guys at 9 o'clock on MSI. So, for myself, have a safe week, and I hope the weather's going to be a bit better this week, fingers crossed. So, for myself, Alan James, take care, and we'll talk to you next week. Okay, and I'll echo Alan's sentiments there, and we'll do it all again in 7 days, hopefully. Of course, if the meteor does strike, well, then we won't. But sure, look, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So, yeah, we'll do it all again. 7 days' time. Take care. For myself, Stephen George, very good evening.
Open your mind.